sleeping. Wait. It's the AM Stop Morning Show. Wake up every day. Mornings are lit.
And without further ado, we have Mr. Johann Moxam running for Georgetown North, which looked like it was a very busy week for you last week. You had a dump fire. You did your debate. I watched that. I just want to ask you, like, off the bat, like, I watched the fire start. Then you went, did your debate start, another fire there. But what's the like it was a really entertaining debate. I'm not gonna lie.
No, thanks for that, John. Good
You
morning.
can bring my phone.
Good morning to the listeners and those of you out there on live streaming land. Pleasure to be here with you this morning again. John, that's a great question, but I'll just start off by saying this. I think the difference between me and every other candidate up to this point in politics is I just tell the truth. It's not politically correct. It's not rehearsed. It's just I know better, so I do better, and I try to help people understand that we deserve better, because the lies and the nonsense and spin that the average politician puts on every situation, you would think that we're all living in zombie land and just walking around without any sort of sense,
Right.
When the government can say, well, the fire not really a big deal, it's just a small dump fire. Really? Do you know how many people were breathing in all that ash, chemicals? We don't even know what was on fire. But I'm telling you, smoke was as high as Mount Olympus and dark. That can't be good for you.
Right.
But we've been kicking that can down the road, for 20, 25 years, whatever it is. And now we claim to have a solution. But the devil is always in the details. Do we know that we can meet the terms of this agreement? Because ultimately, the developer might be putting in the money to get the project going, but nobody builds you anything for free. So the Cayman Islands government, and that means the Cayman Islands people, will ultimately be responsible for payment of said fees and charges that come out of that. Did the government? Do I appreciate that they've gotten around to this? Very much so. Very much so. But can you imagine if we didn't have an election? Everything seems to be happening now. That there's an election 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away. I would almost say that we should almost have an election every year, because it seems to be the only time that this crew try to show you that they're doing something.
Right.
But at the root of it all, you can have all the development in the world. You can have all these major projects in the world. But if Caymanian people are still struggling and behind, and when I talk about inequality, it's real. Caymanian people are not, the vast majority of Caymanian people are not benefiting from all of this wonderment and these amazing things that they take credit for. I'm going to give you an example. There's 4,500 core civil servants. There's probably about 5,500 people that get a government check. 60% of the core civil servants make under $3,000 a month. Okay, 60% of 4,500 core civil servants make under $3,000 a month. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, this administration, and this is the point about equality, this administration managed to give themselves pay raises, give themselves a massive severance package just in case they don't make it, or what's worse, if you resign from politics, you still get a severance package. That makes no sense to me, because if you resign from Star right now, John, I promise you, there's no severance package for you, and there's none for me from my job, right? But what's worse, senior civil servants got a 17% raise in pay. These guys all make over 110,000. Some of them are in the $140,000 a month. I mean a year range, and yet they managed to secure a 17% raise in base salary. Yet the majority of the civil servants, the rank and file, got nothing. John, that's wrong. That's the inequity that I'm talking about. That's the inequality that I'm talking about. Because if we can find the money to help all the people at the top, You mean to tell me that we can't help rank and file regular civil servants to get more, get better? We could do all of that if this administration didn't give away hundreds of millions of dollars in concessions, revenue that is needed today and revenue that is needed in the future. But more importantly, where's their conscience? You can't have the majority of your civil servants earning under $3,000
Mm.
and then give yourself a raise and go, we're doing good. Look what we've done for the country. We're keeping it safe, stronger for a brighter future. Brighter future for who? If the people aren't benefiting from this thing don't make no sense. And the people, the voters, the civil servants, you deserve better. You deserve leadership that will appreciate you, not just by speaking nicely to you, but that will show you that they appreciate you and show you that they respect you. Because if the top end of the tier can get a 17% raise, why can't those in the middle and at the bottom get a raise? And they're the ones that need it the most.
And I want
That's
to,
what makes me different, John.
very true. I want to ask you this question because I've seen it happen before. Say you win, you get in, you're elected, and obviously we don't know the inner workings of Parliament because we're not MPs. So you go in, and then you see that, oh, it's not what we think it is, and it's like, I don't know, maybe someone else pulling the strings. We don't know. But what if there's this other, whatever you go in there, you find a secret. When the president got elected, there's a book of secrets. You go in there, you see the real truth. Do you stay quiet about the real truth, or do you tell us the real truth? Because we've seen other people get in
They're cowards.
and then they go quiet.
No, they're cowards. There's nothing about me that is fake. There's nothing about me that is afraid. I know the difference between right and wrong. I will continue to be who I am, how I am. I will always speak the truth. I will always speak to things that I know to be factual based on research and based on the reality of the situation. But more importantly, I will always fight the corner of every single Caymanian because you know why? There's only 42,000 of us. There's 62,000 people here, right? 21,000 work permits. That means there's 41,000 Caymanians or people with PR that will become Caymanian. Of that 41,000, there's about 30,000 multi-generational Caymanian people. And if you can't fix the system and the issues for 30 odd thousand, 41,000, Caymanians, and we are shooting and targeting a population of 100,000, John, everybody needs to be fired. I believe in recall provisions. I believe there should be a constitutional amendment that allows people the opportunity via a recall provision, whereby if you are unhappy with your elected official, once, just like the people's initiated referendum, once you rally the troops and you secure signatures for to meet the threshold, you should be able to recall your politician because there are people that have been elected 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, 20 odd years that have done nothing to help the average Caymanian people. And and the way that it works, it's about accountability. If I'm here and I'm working for you and I'm not doing my job, John, you're going to say to me, boy, Johan, you're a nice guy, but it's not working out. You're not really doing the things that we thought that we hired you to do, and you're not really representing us in the best interest. People power is what this is about. I am asking people for their support. I'm asking people for their vote. I'm asking people to change the way that they look at Cayman politics by changing the people in Cayman politics. And I commit to this. I'm different from all of them because I don't need to sell out to anybody. My conscience guides me. I know the difference between right and wrong. I've always been somebody that speaks out, fights, and promotes the interests of Caymanian people. And part of the reason why I'm running is I have come to the realization they are building a Cayman that does not include us, John. It is about everybody else, and the rest of us will have to figure it out. Once you get to that stage where your people don't matter, that type of leadership, that type of government, that type of representation has to go. I will not change because people like you will hold me accountable. People that are listening to my voice will hold me accountable. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Renard Johann Moxam. I have held the government accountable for everything every time I feel that it's an issue of national importance. I've asked them questions, I've demanded answers, I have pressured them, I have embarrassed them, I have presented solutions and options. I expect you to do the same thing to me because every single elected representative works for the people of the Cayman Islands. I'm applying for a job for the people of Georgetown North, but I want to represent all Caymanians. And if I'm not doing my job, ladies and gentlemen, put me on blast the same way because that's what this thing is about. I'm not afraid of accountability. I will not lie. I will not deflect. I will not come up with some bogus excuse about anything. I will tell you the truth. When I am elected with your help, I will tell you what the true financial position of this country is because we need to know. And once you have all the data and the facts, you can then make decisions on what's important. I will say this if we can afford, and I got to go back to the civil servants, that's the largest base of Caymanians. If civil servants at the bottom and at the middle can't get a raise to 17%, how in the hell did we justify a raise of 17% for the top dogs?
When did that happen?
That happened before the guys left Parliament in like December, January.
Oh.
All I'm saying is fair is fair, right is right, wrong is wrong. You can't give the bosses a raise and the workers not get no raise.
Right.
And every single person that has heard this story is listening to my voice and knows the reality of it. You need new leadership. You need new representation. And if you live in Georgetown North, I am that guy for you. And if you don't live in Georgetown North, tell somebody in Georgetown North, that guy Moxam, he's the real deal. He knows exactly what's going on. He will fight for us because that's what it's about. We have too many Kenyans that they go to the water. Boy, it is wrong. I gotta fix him. I gotta do it. Listen, I'm afraid of nothing and nobody. I am a leader because leadership isn't something you buy. Leadership is basically knowing what the right thing to do is and do it. I can give an example. People that are in their communities that are helping to make their community better, they are leaders. They are better leaders than the actual elected people because they know what's going on. But what happens is the elected representative takes all the credit, never gives any sort of props or acknowledgement of the people in the community workers that are doing the work, and then they go, "Look at what I did, and I did this project." It's all of us. John, you're a leader. You're not elected, but you're a leader of your generation. You're an influencer. You're an icon. Anybody that is doing this thing for the right reasons to help Cayman and Caymanians, you are a leader. The difference is I put myself forward to be an elected representative of all of you people. And that's really what this is about right now. The debate, we had two debates. And at the end of the day, if you look at the qualifications and the experience internationally and locally of what I've done in my life, professionally, academically, socially, giving projects that I've been involved in, big projects that have helped the country, like CPR Cayman. The difference between me and my opponent is chalk and cheese, period. And if you are applying, or if I'm applying for a job and you are the HR manager and you had two candidates looking at what they've done in their life, on their qualifications, their substance, their character, ladies and gentlemen, I am biased, but I am the better candidate.
Right.
I'm the better person. I'm the better man. I will tell you the truth and I will not lie. Nice is good. You need nice people, but you need people of character, substance, quality, people that know what integrity looks like, people that believe in accountability, people that believe in transparency, people that want to do the right thing. I do not need a government contract. None of my businesses need a government contract. Okay? I will not do things to basically promote my business interest whilst on the government watch. Because at the end of the day, the business of your MP is to represent you and the Cayman Islands to the best of their ability. No MP in this race should be using their position to leverage and help their financial situation of that of their family, their friends, the financiers. That's not why you're going to the polls to help them. You are hopefully going to the polls because you understand in 2021 we need a shift in mindset. We need a shift in management. We need a shift in leadership. But that power ultimately comes down to the people because right now there are people that are elected, current MPs that are using this to better themselves and they're leaving you behind. I will not do that because I know that that's not what this game is about. And more importantly, You cannot work for the people of the Cayman Islands and only have 10% of those people benefit. We are being left behind because the current leadership don't care. I'll give you an example. In a debate, my man's talking about, we're going to rejuvenate Rock Hole. We're going to put in some parks and I'm thinking to myself, that's the fairy tale and the Walt Disney dream that they're selling you. The reality of what's happening in neighborhoods in Georgetown, in the district of Georgetown North in particular, is this. They are regentrifying and going through a process of the regentrification of Rock Hole and other surrounding communities. And what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is they're buying up your land for cheap. They're moving you out. And I'm talking properties and land that have been in the family for multiple generations. They're offering you cheap prices for the land. Let's give an example. I'll give you $125,000 now for this lot of land, and then I'll move you somewhere else. But hold on, that person that they're offering money to, they've got 4 rental units in the back there, and this government will offer you $125,000 plus will give you 3 years rent for the loss of revenue that if you're relocated. Do not sell your land, because when they give you $125,000, that is chicken feed money. They turn around and sell the land for $1.5 million, $2 million. Know your worth. One of the biggest problems in Cayman is nobody taught us the value of land. Nobody taught us the value of ourselves, our worth, our self-esteem. Then they're gonna turn around and move you out from these places and move you out east somewhere, like we're Indians on the reservation. There is nobody in Rockpool. There's nobody in Washington Boulevard. There's nobody in Buttons Road. There's nobody in Courts Road. There's nobody in the surrounding communities in Georgetown North that need to sell your land. And if anybody approached you, call me. My number is 526-8080. Before you think about signing something, I will be there to read whatever they're trying to convince you is the right thing. I will tell you whether you are getting value or not, and I'm telling you you're not, because what they're doing is they're clearing out Rockhole to put in an extension connecting to the east-west bypass, right? The connector road. But what the minister and my opponent has not told you, there's a massive development plan there. He hasn't shown anybody the plans. He hasn't told anybody who the developers are. He hasn't been honest and forthright with the people to explain to them what this is about. And that is the job of a representative. I would never do that because I know the difference between right and wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, if that is the type of representative that you want, knock yourselves out. Knock yourselves out. Keep it, vote for him. But if you know you want better, if you know you deserve better, if you know you can do better, that comes with change. And change starts on April the 14th when you vote for Johann Moxam for Georgetown North.
Now, you got about, say, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks before election, right?
Yes, sir.
How was it? How is the whole campaign going for you?
I saw a recent PPM poll, and I really like my chances to be honest with you. But I don't get ahead of myself. I need to stay focused. I need to touch people. I need to listen. I need to truly understand and explain to people what makes me different from the other guy.
Right.
What you're hearing today is 100% authentic, Johan. I don't know how to be any other way, John. I am real. I'm real honest. I'm real blunt when I need to be. I care.
Mhm.
I will fight. And I'll make sure everything that I say that I will do, I will do. That is the commitment that I make to the people of Georgetown North, because Georgetown North is really diverse, where you've got people on one end, they're killing it. Money is never their issue. But there's a large percentage, I would dare say 50% of Georgetown North, where people are living. John, is depressing, bro. They're living in subhuman conditions, bro. No light, no water, no electricity. They got to go next door and carry water. Then you got the government that'll tell you, well, everything's working out fine. We're doing well. There are people that are going into these communities, Borden Road, Cruise Lane, Rockhole, Washington Boulevard, Watlers Road, and they're buying up land strategically, and they're offering people peanuts for the land, right? I am saying to every Caymanian in Georgetown north that got it rough. Help is on the way if you give me a chance. If you support my vision and you believe in what I'm saying to you, because this is really, really me and this is what I'm about, I will be there to help you because I care. Because there should be no Caymanian that goes to bed and no child that goes to bed with a hungry belly. And there are too many of those instances. We have people, old people that are sick, John. John, they have strokes, they're immobile, and they can't get the assistance of government programs. Yet we got healthy, healthy
Hmm.
people
Hmm.
walking around the place.
Wow.
Seaman pension, NAU pension, any other sort of benefit or sorry, assistance that they're getting. And I'm thinking to myself, how did we come up with the list on who gets help and who doesn't? Because in the neighborhoods and the homes that I've walked into and I've sat with, these people, John, you gotta be a cold, heartless, callous person to not care. And now that I've always been the patriotic Caymanian that wants us to succeed, none of us should be left behind. And my job is to make sure we help each and every person, help them lift themselves up from an educational perspective, help them with the social issues whereby they need assistance. Those business owners right now, small and medium-sized business owners, need help, and it should not be because of a politicized government grant system where I will give you help if you vote for me. You need the help now. The government is lying to people, but we're stronger, we're better, we're looking out for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this. I am grateful for the fact that we live in a relatively safe, COVID free environment. The government have done a good job. The government includes Governor Martin Ropo, Chief of Staff in his office, the head of the governor's office, medical officer, Public Health UK, Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and the elected government here that took their advice and followed it. But you know who deserves the biggest amount of credit? Every single Caymanian that had enough discipline and sense to abide to the rules that were set out. It is because of our discipline and our willingness to listen and to do the right thing that Cayman is safe. Every country in the world got the same advice. This is what you needed to do. Cayman seemed to get it right. Some of our neighbors didn't. So when they tell you we will save you, you saved yourself. It's by the grace of God and your ability to have sense to do the right thing. Politicians are there to give you policies. Politicians aren't there to handcuff you and demand that you do it. You made that choice as a lawful citizen, as somebody with sense who wanted to protect yourself and your family. That's why we're successful, and that's why Cayman survived. So I thank the government for what they did, but I thank the people of the Cayman Islands even more because we showed that we aren't like the rest. That's the reality of this thing,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
I hear the government talking about there's no plan or independence will open up the borders. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know anything about me, I have a lot of common sense. I'm not saying that I'm smart, you know. I'm saying I got a lot of common sense. I have a couple of qualifications that help me look good on paper, but you would have to be a complete buffoon to say, "Yeah, we're gonna open up now so that they can." No, safety is important. We need to continue to be cautious. We need to be able to follow the instructions of the medical professionals who are using data to determine what is possible. But also, ladies and gentlemen, we have to try and strike a balance. If we're now in April, we should be able to say, if things go well by July, we'll be able to have a soft opening where it's just to stay over um, visitors. Because right now, they're telling you that the borders are closed. Ladies and gentlemen, there's people flying in and out of this place like crazy. The government are lying to you. Let me say this again. The government are lying to you. People are flying into this island like crazy. We have a global citizens program. Right now, there's 150 people on that global citizens program. That's part of the tourism product as well.
Right.
So when they tell you the borders are closed and we got to close it down, we got to keep it safe, they've opened the borders to select few people, okay? People that they deem to be necessary. There's a film crew of 100 people here in the Cayman Islands. If your borders were closed, you would not be having 100-person film crew. They're lying. My opponent is lying. The ministry is lying. The government is lying. These are facts. You don't need to like me to accept that what I'm preaching is the gospel of truth. Okay? But what we need to do in the opening and preparing for the future is we need to have a plan. That plan involves all the relevant stakeholders. We listen to the medical advice, we understand what the risks are, and you have a soft opening for tourists because the country is open for the friends of people in the government. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, on what basis is a 100-person film crew necessary for the Cayman Islands right now? Ask Minister Joseph Hugh, ask Chief Officer Eric Bush, ask the Premier. They made that decision. They owe an explanation to us. Okay? Were there any concessions involved in that? Was government losing any revenue as a result of that? This is the sort of selective things that they do. And if it's good for the goose, it must be good for the gander. It's the same way that they decided 17% must go to the top end of the civil servants, whilst the rest of the civil servants under over 60% did not get the benefit of that. You think they didn't show up and go to work? Huh? You think they didn't deserve anything? Ladies and gentlemen, connect the dots and see it for what it is. If you believe in truth, if you believe in somebody that knows better, somebody that will always be honest with you, somebody that understands what accountability and transparency is, I am your guy. I am the polar opposite from my opponent. My guy is a used car salesman. I am the real deal, and I will always be that because politics doesn't define me. Being a good father, being a good man, and being a Caymanian that can be proud to look himself in the mirror, that's what I'm about. It ain't about the politics. We just need better leadership in order to help everybody else in this. I don't want to be in politics for 30 years. If you can't make a difference after 12, 16 years in politics, you should be gone. I believe in term limits. I believe you should serve a maximum of 4 terms, which is 16 years. Some of these guys want to be there forever. You know why? This is the most money they've ever seen in their life. Okay? This is the best job they've ever had in their life. These are the big pensions, the big perks. Ladies and gentlemen, think of this. Over a 4-year term, each politician earns at a minimum $600,000. And if you're in cabinet and in a senior post, you earn up to $950,000 over a 4-year period. So when they show up and they're trying to buy your vote, understand the value of your vote, period. And I'll say this, vote buying is happening. Vote buying is happening in every district. Everybody knows that it's happening. Stop pretending that it's not happening. And when they approach you, money. Because it's the only thing that they're going to give you because they're not checking for you. They don't care how you live. How can you drive across somebody's house, give them a ham, a chicken, or a turkey when you know that house don't have no electricity? That house don't have no running water. That's wrong. So when they show up and they're trying to, I suddenly care for you, you care for me by helping me get the basics in life, housing, education, a job. Talking about jobs. The Cayman Islands, there's a construction boom.
Mhm.
$800 million worth of project being going on right now. How many Caymanians are on those job sites? I'll ask you again. How many Caymanians do you know are on those job sites benefiting from this construction boom? Ladies and gentlemen, there should be no Caymanian laborer, mason, carpenter, steel workman, sheetrock man, roofer, whatever it is. And I've never built anything in my life except Lego. But let me tell you this,
Mhm.
there should be no Caymanian that is on the outside looking in at everybody else. If the government can give concessions to the developers, in those concession agreements and in those negotiations, there should be you must have 60% of the Cayman workforce on the job site, period. And what should also happen is we should have planning, we should have labor, and we should have immigration visit these work sites to understand where the Caymanians. Because right now, here's what's happening. You have people here on a work permit that are paying for their own work permit, paying people, right? And then I'm employed to work for John, but John don't want to work for me. so I'm working anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, if a Caymanian construction person can be first on the job site and to get to work, what is the point of having the rules and regulations in Cayman? I am proud to be a Caymanian. I am pro Caymanian. I am patriotic Caymanian. But if Caymanians can't benefit from the work that is being done now, what is the point of all of this? You have labor brokers out there that will say, John, I will rent you some of my workers, but you will give me $2 and $3 a head for each worker. Now the labor not done nothing, you know. He's collecting money. Ladies and gentlemen, that's wrong. That's wrong, and there's laws against that. But what the first premise of the law should be is you're gonna look after Caymanians first.
I got a comment saying there are barely any Caymanians on the sites. The 60% rule is impossible as there was never any trade schools to get Caymanians into these jobs.
That might well be the case, but I'm gonna tell you this. Do you need a qualification to pick up a brick and move it from over here to over there? Do you need a qualification to basically do the basics of construction on any job site?
No.
Because I see a pile of people that I know don't have no qualifications on a job site and they're from abroad.
Mhm.
So if you can do that, you can hire Caymanians. Have we failed in our training and vocational programs? 100%. But I'm talking about you can do two things at one time. I can listen to music and run. I don't run very fast, but all I'm saying is you can do more than one thing at the same time. You can develop a robust training program. Michael Miles has done it.
Mhm.
It's called Aspire Vocational Training. He has done it. We can take money and put it into those youngsters now to get them going. But the people that are walking around here looking for work, and there are qualified people that are experienced. You do not need a qualification if you are an experienced construction man. We have hired people that were bartenders on the road and they're now working in white collar jobs in the Cayman Islands. And I'm telling you, they never had no experience. So that person, I respect their position. But the reality is, if you're telling me every job on a job site in construction requires a qualification and training, I think they are perhaps selling their agenda, whereas my agenda is to look out for job opportunities for every single Caymanian. Do we need to train? 100%. 100%. I agree with that. But Caymanians can be and should be working now on the job sites.
Right.
You know, John, it's crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one thing. This is gonna be risky, but it's my truth as I see it. There are some people that don't get a chance to get a job because they made a mistake in their life.
Mhm.
They smoke weed, they had a spliff. But if you're telling me that smoking a spliff bars you from being able to get a job because you were dumb and young and naive or experimenting or whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, there's a problem with that. We need to decriminalize ganja for personal consumption.
Mhm.
When we were kids, John, everybody, if you smoked a cigarette, your parents made you think that you would go to hell. I don't know anybody that smokes a cigarette now.
True.
All I'm saying is, if we can spend $72,000 to $75,000, $70,000 to $75,000 putting persons in jail because they made a mistake and they got caught smoking a spliff, but in comparison, you're only prepared to give somebody between 10 and 20,000 a year in a scholarship. Our priorities are all wrong. How many people are in jail now for minor misdemeanor sort of offenses? You smoke a spliff, you smoke a spliff. Is that supposed to be the thing that puts you in jail? You know how many people in white collar Cayman are hitting a lot harder than a spliff? That's the reality. That's the facts. That's what I know to be real. Has any of those operations or those sort of parties or those sort of situations ever been raided by the police? Never. But local people get in a world of trouble. Guys, I know what's going on in Cayman. I understand what's happening in Cayman. I'm not saying that you're supposed to do anything illegal. I'm just saying you get fined for smoking weed if that's the law, but you shouldn't have to go to jail if you got caught smoking a spliff. Now, if you are importing weed, you get what you get. I'm just telling you,
Mhm.
I'm not on your side. But for personal consumption, we have to have laws that make sense, and we have to understand that young persons will make mistakes, and these mistakes lead to long-term situations where they are unable to get employment. They're not able to get a scholarship. They're not able to travel abroad because they got a criminal conviction for something that's really basic. I am not advocating for anybody to do anything illegal. I am advocating for there to be some sense to the rules, the laws, and the regulations in Cayman so that Caymanians have a chance in their own country, John.
Let me ask you this question. What if, say that does happen, right? You can smoke your personal consumption. What if that employer doesn't want to hire a person that decides to do that? Just ask them, maybe do like a random drug test.
Yeah, if the rules, if the employment contract state, we do not want you to
Hmm.
test positive for anything, then you have to know what's more important to you, your job or smoking a spliff.
Right. Okay.
Okay, that's about personal choice and personal accountability.
Right.
You can't say, well, it's legal for me to smoke weed, and your boss just said to you, well, yeah, we do random drug testing, and if you test positive,
Mhm.
you will be let go. You're making a choice for yourself. You got to deal with the consequences of that because life is about choices and consequences.
Right.
You know,
Right.
there's a lot to work out, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
conceptually,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I look at the number of people that got real problems, the fact that we can spend $70,000 on a prisoner, it's crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are spending millions of dollars housing Cuban refugees at the Fairbanks prison. The contract for that service to the security sector is north of $2 million. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can't process an application of any sort of person seeking political asylum within 180 days, the system is broken and not working. But more importantly, we should not be spending crazy amounts of money on security for people that are breaking out of the thing anyway, when we know that those funds could be better used going elsewhere.
Right.
They could be helping the indigent, they could be helping old people, they could be helping after school programs. But the problem is this: Cayman does not have a revenue problem. We have a mismanagement of funds problem. And if any of you know me, people say, well, you're kind of fiscally conservative. No, ladies and gentlemen, I'm cheap. Okay, I understand the value of a dollar because nobody's ever given me anything. Everything I have, I work for. That's how we all are. So I'm not special, but I believe you basically put your money in the important areas. Those important areas are education, social programs, healthcare, looking after young children, looking after elderly persons. That is how you measure whether you care about your people or not. And right now, a lot of old people, their family's not doing a good enough job to look after them,
Mhm.
but the government and government systems not doing enough to look after them. And it's not that we don't have the money; we just don't have a plan, and we don't. And I'll say this: you see them people in the NAU, the civil servants.
Mhm.
I respect each and every one of them. They're not an easy job, but they are understaffed, overworked, not appreciated enough, and so you get burnout. But we can give the top tier of the civil service a 17% raise, but we can't look after the people that are actually doing the work. You don't need to like me, but I know the difference between right and wrong. I'm a nice person, I'm a respectful person, but I have no time to tolerate the foolishness that is really going on in this country where our people are becoming second and third class citizens, not because of some invading army, no, but because of government policies and
Right.
because of how they view us. I can give you another example of what is killing Caymanians and the cost of living. Right now, we have a housing situation where it is difficult for any Caymanian to find something they can afford.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you why that's happening. The average cost of a house in Cayman is $1 million. Okay, you have apartments on one in Georgetown North, and the surrounding areas. A studio apartment costs $250,000 in Cayman
to buy.
to buy. Okay, a one-bedroom apartment in areas in Cayman, and I'm not talking super nice on the beach. I'm talking in the surrounding area. Costs $500,000 to buy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what is happening is they are building a country whereby we do not stand a chance because the housing market is on fire. And what has happened is they have marketed Cayman. This administration and my opponent in particular have bought into we have to get all high end people here. When you get wealthy people here into the Cayman Islands, they have the disposable means, they have the cash, they have the ability to raise financing in order to go and buy multiple properties, which then drives up the cost of the entire housing market. We have 150 global citizens, and that was supposed to in the Global Citizen Program. That's a great program to get people here to help us taking over. Those people are now transitioning into the ability to get PR by independent means, and they're being and they're self-financed. They have one of the criteria is they just need to spend 1.5 million dollars in real estate. Ladies and gentlemen, 1.5 million dollars not a lot to people with money. That's the equivalent of me buying like a little Haagen-Dazs ice cream. It's not really that much.
Mm.
Ask you how much your house cost, but let's just say it wasn't far off from 1.5 million, right?
Well, I built it 5 years ago.
Well, you built that. That was a
But-
sale. That's a
but-
sales pitch for.
but-
I'll sell it now for 1.5.
But now, yeah, it is valued there. Yeah.
Okay, there
Now
you
it's
go.
ability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My point is this. When you have people in programs that were supposed to be here for X amount of time, but they're now able to transition to another status whereby they are securing PR and the right to work.
Mhm.
Okay. And then they get fast tracked to the status situation where they only have to be here for a week out of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, how is the average Cayman Islands to a population of 100,000 people? And once you get to that, you can't fix the country when you got 60,000. What is it going to be like from an infrastructure, from a quality of life, from a sewage management, from a collecting the traffic perspective, everything that we know that encompasses your day-to-day life. In this race, 100,000 will impact us. If you live in East and North Side, downtown Savannah Prospect, and the race to 100,000 becomes a reality, what's it gonna be like? I have to leave the house at 7 o'clock every morning. If you don't, you're in trouble. Once they bought all the property along the West Bay Road, Georgetown Strip, where do you think they're going? They're going east, and Caymanians are going to be basically pushed out further and further and further away. What we can do as a solution is this. In the same way that my opponent and his government can grant hundreds of millions of dollars in concessions to developers, the government can start buying tracts of land in every district whereby they put in the proper roads, they put in the utilities, and we are able to develop a mixed use community, a master plan type community that Caymanians can be proud of. I'm not talking about cheap housing. I'm talking about affordable housing that looks good, that represents value for money, that is sold only to Caymanian people. It is not to be bought for any investor. You have to live there. You have to purchase and live in the community. And I'm talking about everything that we think we should have in these communities: good roads, good plumbing, good drainage, all of it. We can do that for our people. Our people deserve that, and leadership needs to understand that if you're building a Cayman, the Caymanian people have to be the first thing you think of, not about the person coming in from abroad. They can afford to be here and buy a $5 million condo. Easy. The average Caymanian can't even get to buying a $500,000 house. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you need to know the difference between me and the other guy, I understand what you're going through. I understand that they're building this place for them. I want to work for you. I want to represent every single Caymanian so that we have a chance. And right now, the policies of this administration are not about you. My opponent has had 8 years, 8 years in Georgetown. What has changed? Has the life of the average Caymanian changed, and is it for the better? If you own a small business, is your situation better today than it was 4 years, 8 years ago? That is the question you need to ask yourself, and you need to be honest with yourself, because politics can't just be about the personality and niceness or likability. It has to be about substance. It has to be about a plan. It has to be about character. It has to be about having a representative who will work with you, who will listen to you, who will ask you your views on things impacting your community, and then going out to make sure that Caymanians are the primary beneficiaries of what is going on.
Now, everyone loves what you're saying. I know you from you were a kid. As you said, you've always been truthful. Blessing and curse. I have that same disease. Uh, but if you are elected or when you win, who are some of the candidates you're still working? Because I know that the 1835, we don't technically understand politics. So why I'm asking this question is, you get in, but you might not have help. So let us know who you could work with that you see running or who would be in.
That's a great question. Ladies and gentlemen, the people that I'm associating myself with politically and the people that I'm proud to say that I am working with and running with include Chris Saunders, Bernie Bush, Kenneth Bryan, Sammy Jackson, Alric Lindsay, just had a brain freeze there. And we're in negotiations with 3 other people that will formally announce for themselves who they're working with. I don't want to be the person to burst their balloon,
Mhm.
because that's their story to tell. But I'm telling you, there is 8 of us that are working together. I call us the Coalition of the Willing. We'll be called something else, but it's a mixture of experienced MLAs, fresh faces like myself, Sammy, you know, Alric, and 2 others. Um, Again, I just want to be respectful of them because they haven't made that announcement, and I don't want to disrespect their constituencies by bursting out the gates. But there's a solid group of 7 to 8. We are in negotiations with 10 candidate. Sorry, the 7 will become 10 because we are in negotiations with 3 others. And at that stage, we are running on similar platforms, similar issues. I don't think they're all as honest and as blunt as me,
Right.
but
Right.
our views on Caymanian first policies are real. Our views on environmental protection, our views on protecting the financial services industry, and that's something that is passionate and something that I feel that I'm well versed in, given my experience as the former managing director of a Class A bank and trust company, Merrill Lynch Bank and Trust, given my current job as the managing partner of Laneson International Management. The Cayman Islands is able to be better than the rest of the Caribbean because of financial services.
Mhm.
Financial services industry represents over 65% of the GDP of the Cayman Islands. Without the financial services industry during COVID, things would have been rough and things were bad
Right.
before,
Right.
right? So there are several of us working together, but the reality is this: the next government will be a coalition government. The PPM will not secure 10 seats to make the majority. I've seen their polling data. I'm comfortable and confident that as long as we're able to form the majority of that coalition, and remember the majority of 10 is 6, okay?
Mhm.
You then control from a policy directive where we're going. I'm not saying the PPM are going to lose all their seats. I wish in Georgetown they would, because Sammy Jackson is an incredible person. Sammy Jackson cares, and ultimately, the buck stops with the head, and the head of every fish is where the rot starts. Sammy should win his seat. Alric deserves to win his seat. He's the hardest. Like the guy is just incredible. When I look at Georgetown North, my opponent was unable to tell the truth about anything. Smith's back there, the port. You had the issue with the reason why they closed Parliament early. These guys in the PPM could not do the right thing. They do the politically expedient thing. They do what's best for them. The group of us that are working together will do what's best for Caymanian people. That's what makes us different from them. So will we be able to secure 10? I'm not sure any group will be able to secure 10. But I'll tell you this, if we walk into a room and we're 6 or 7 deep, the life of Caymanian people will get better because we are all committed to one thing, being different from this crew who have forgotten Caymanian people. Do we need inward investment? 100%. Do we have people here that are committed to Cayman and that are working hard and that love Cayman? 100%. But you cannot build a country for 10% and leave 60% of your Caymanian people behind. You cannot. That causes chaos and that causes frustration and anger and resentment. And when that pot boils over, where do you think they're going to go? To the other side. I did a video for my campaign where I showed what the reality of Georgetown North is. No other candidate in the history of the Cayman Islands has ever been that authentic and honest to show you what Georgetown North looks like. I don't want to just represent people on the strip. They're Caymanian too. Every Caymanian deserves respect. If you've been a Caymanian for 10 minutes or 10 generations, my job, once elected, is to represent each and every one of you. I do not represent special interests. I'm not sponsored by special interests. I am self-funded and I fight the fight and I say the things that I say because I believe in what I'm saying. I believe in what I'm saying. And I believe that if we work together, we can make Caymania great again. And I want to tell you, a free lunch. No, thank you, sir. I'm good. I don't need it. Well, I want to help you with the cap. No, I know you want to help me, but what they wanted was they wanted to be able to call me whenever they want and have me on the hook. I have no pimp. I am not a political prostitute. I'm a man. I know the difference between right and wrong. My campaign, that comes out of my pocket. That's why I'm extra cheap with it. Okay? But I'm telling you, there are people there that think every politician is for sale. I think Bernie said it best, and I got mad respect for Bernie. Not for sale, not for rent, not for rent, not for sale. That is what I'm about. And I can say the things that I say, and I can do the things that I do, and I can fight the fights that I fight because nobody owns me. I answer to three people in this world. My boss at home, them two boys, four. Ja. I answer to God, and I know the difference. I want to add to that list by being accountable to the people of Georgetown North. That's the job that I'm applying for. If you were looking at both of us side by side in a job interview and you wanted the best candidate and you wanted somebody that would help the country grow and the country develop for the best interest of everybody, there's only one choice because the other guy has proven what he's about. He not check in for enough. He might show up with a little smallers or Christmas time, but is he really helping you have a better life? Cost of living, housing, education, healthcare, social programs. Think about those things.
I was gonna ask you for your last words, but I sound like that was it.
No. Last words of this, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you for the opportunity to be honest. I thank you for the opportunity to walk into your homes, to sit with you, to understand what's really going on. I've been doing it for several months. I'm embarrassed that we have people in Cayman that are struggling. I'm embarrassed that we are leaving our people behind. But change starts with each individual. If you change your expectations of leadership, if you change how you view where you're at and understand that you deserve better and you can get better by making better choices, Ladies and gentlemen, I am that better choice. I will not let you down. I will not embarrass myself. I will not embarrass my family. I will not embarrass the constituents of Georgetown North, the people of the Cayman Islands, and our country in general. I know better, therefore I do better. I am different. I'm nothing like them. They have sold this country out and they will sell you out. I want to work with you so that no Caymanian is left behind because this is ours. This is the only place we have. And more importantly, Caymanian and Caymanians deserve better.
There you have it, Johann Moxam for Georgetown North. Thank you for coming through. GameStop Morning Show, powered by Flow.